Damn! I've had this opening stuck in my head for so long. Thank God Season 1 is finally over so I can use my ears for literally anything else. This was such absurd levels of fire. It's no surprise that Season 1 of DANDADAN took the world by storm, with its charming characters, unique visuals, and obsession with wieners. And now that it's over, we can talk about these characters, the aliens, the writing, the season as a whole, but as is tradition, let's start with a brief recap. The story kicks off with high schooler Momo Ayase breaking up with her typically shonen delinquent boyfriend after he attempts to persuade her to sleep with him. Salty about the encounter, she vents to her friends who question why she was with him in the first place. She says that she was only drawn to him due to his mild resemblance of her favorite actor, Ken Takakura. Now, favorite actor is an understatement. He's more like her God King Messiah lover slurp glaze lord, because every time his name is mentioned, she goes into a comatose state of nirvana, basically. Later, while walking through the hallway of her school, because in this school they do literally fucking nothing, she notices a group of boys bullying an otaku loser type. And she goes against her stereotypes and gets them to stop harassing him. Afterwards, as any desperate high school boy would ever do, the dude immediately runs out to try to talk to Momo about the coolest thing he can think of: aliens. Since Momo is a relatively sane human being, she disregards his conversation and harshly brushes the boy off. Now, I would say rejection is a part of life, but no, not for this boy. This boy has aura of some kind, because Momo immediately goes back and tries to continue having a conversation with the kid by bringing up her belief in ghosts. The boy then hits her with the ghosts, woman, surely you would jest. And the two start arguing about which belief is right. One might even say this is how love starts, you know? Momo and the boy, whom she nicknames Okarun, head to a hospital and tunnel respectively in order to determine whose paranormal fantastical stance is correct. After hearing a Momo sob story about her family making her do weird things, buck up, champ, we've all been there, Okarun actually gets attacked by a ghost. This spirit is Turbo Granny, whose name is actually a reference to the pacing of this story. Referencing my spitting game pacing, Turbo Granny offers Okarun to suck on them titties in exchange for a glizzy kiss. Okarun, rightfully fucking terrified, dashes out of the tunnel. Momo, hearing her new friends scream, attempts to go help him, but is stopped by 3 D-list Hollywood celebrities with botched Botox. These guys end up actually being aliens named Serpos and abduct Momo with the intention of stealing her reproductive organs by using their weaponized genitalia. Right before the aliens commit the unspeakable act, the Turbo Granny possessed Okarun busts in and bites off the Serpos' mechapenes before being restrained by psychic powers. As the aliens attempt to continue, Momo remembers that to awaken psychic powers, you must awaken memories you never thought would be important from your childhood, and does just that. She enters psychic flow state and makes quick work of the aliens. Momo then suppresses Turbo Granny's control over Okarun, but is then warned by the freak Gilf that Okarun's wiener is in her possession, and that the only way to get it back is to fight her in the place where she resides. Oh no! Haha, not that. Anything but that. I'm sorry. They defeat the aliens, the UFO crashes, both kids agree to believe in the occult because how the fuck did they survive that crash? It must be the work of God. I understand. Okarun then intends to fight Turbo Granny alone. Momo insists to tag along, and Okarun delivers a line reminiscent to Ken Takakura. Momo salivates faints, goes goo goo gaga over the line, but manages to calm down before asking for Okarun's real name. You guessed it, LeBron James. And boom, that was the setup for the series. Now we can move a little bit faster. Turbo, as it were. The duo end up going to Momo's residence, a safe haven against spirits, to bide their time until their fateful reunion against Turbo Granny. Okarun has difficulty passing through the gate as Momo's probably hot grandmother set up safety measures against the occult by way of a talisman, setting Okarun aflame. Due to the removal of the talisman, the two are attacked by an enormous sumo wrestler monster who also is looking for a quick genital grab. You might be asking, that's an alien, ain't it? Yes, it is. While the future lovebirds struggle at first, they realize that Okarun can use Turbo Granny's power if Momo uses her psychic abilities to suppress the curse. Using the new strategy, they manage to defeat the spirit by employing every sumo wrestler's weakness, setting them on fire, and burning them alive. Also, Okarun is depresso in his spirit mode. Character building. What can I say? Also, Okarun now has a hairstyle that probably wouldn't look good in real life, but hey. Anime. Momo collapses post-battle and is unable to suppress the Turbo Gilf curse, resulting in the spirit taking over Okarun and attacking Momo. Just then, Momo's definitely hot grandmother comes and saves Momo by employing every spirit's weakness, setting them on fire. The two duke it out. One might say it's a granny v granny clash, with the hotter one coming out on top. Seiko, the grandmother, handles business by suppressing Okarun, letting Momo rest, and later instructing the children on how to defeat the Turbo Granny and get the pee-pee back. LeBron and Momo set off to fight the freaky girl. While the kids stand in the tunnel preparing for the fight against Turbo Granny, she appears in huge monster form, ready to no-diff them. Momo uses the age-old strategy of rage-baiting Turbo Granny to challenge her to a race in hopes of using Okarun's abilities against her. Too bad he just got his wiener back and is no longer cursed. Oldie but goodie makes quick work of Momo and will do the same to Okarun if not for his secret technique, Titty Bite. In her arousal, Gilf possesses Okarun, which allows Momo to suppress the spirit once more. A fight ensues, with Okarun using his speed to run from a group of adoring fans, and Momo using her most powerful ability, stalling, in order to take the location-bound spirit out of bounds, ultimately defeating it. Kicking Turbo Granny's ass. Must have felt so good. The episode after the battle feels a plethora of slice of life, which honestly feels really good. Momo and Okarun are awkward about their budding friendship, each looking forward to seeing the other, and Momo even saves Okarun from Aira, the popular girl who was using and making fun of Okarun behind his back. Oh yeah, and Okarun also realizes his balls are missing. If anyone found out, they'd be like, dude, where are your balls? Okarun shares this information with Momo and Seiko, the latter of which casts the hidden evil Gilf out of Okarun's body and into a cat doll. We find out that Turbo Granny took Bro's balls this time, that Okarun still has her abilities, and that Turbo Granny lost the crown jewels, but is willing to help find them. Turbo Granny is now part of the squad, taking the term cougar a little bit too far, but no one's complaining here. Then we find that Aira, the girl who bullied Okarun and was punished by Momo, ended up finding one of Okarun's balls, which allowed her to see the paranormal. She remarks about a woman in red getting closer and closer until she strikes! And by she I mean Aira, who pounces on Momo, convinced that she's a demon. Unfortunately, the woman in red really is a demon of sorts, Acro Silky, who is obsessed with Aira due to a past run-in with Miss Popular, who then called her mom. Of course, our heroes must fend off this demon using Okarun's turbo pacing, Momo's plot armor, and hair. Acro Silky actually really gives them the work though, so one might even say that a dangerous woman arrives. She's really only defeated by accident when she swallows her own hair, Momo lights it on fire, and allows for the kids to retaliate. While they manage to defeat the demon and retrieve the nut from Aira, we learn that Aira is dead. In a crazy turn of events, the spirit offers to give her life energy in order to save Aira. I mentioned that the demon was called Mom by Aira before. Well, let me tell you, the backstory of this demon is no joke. I would go into detail explaining it, but I feel like that would be doing it a disservice. If you haven't seen DANDADAN, if you've only read it, I highly suggest seeing episode 7. It's good standalone, and man, it's good enough to make a grown man cry. Maybe. Perhaps. I'm not saying anything. After said backstory, Aira revives, having had her aura replenished by the spirit, who starts fading away. To make sure that your heartstrings have been sufficiently pulled, Aira gives Acro Silky one last hug, sending her to a kinder world. Okarun realizes it's December, and that he's been slacking about his winter arc. He starts working out in order to get stronger and impress Momo, but his legendarily powerful unspoken Riz attracts Aira instead. Mostly because he saved her last episode, but we won't talk about that. The two share in some anime tomfoolery and end up on top of one another, which Momo sees. Did someone say love triangle? Nope. I said mantis shrimp, which Momo is now obsessed with in her depressive mood. I've got a funny feeling that this will be important later. While in class, all of a sudden, Okarun finds himself in water, as do Aira and Momo. The Serpos are back, ready to take some penis. Interpret that as you will. This time they employed a wage slave worker and a monster that has no brain cells to attack the children and gain control of the Turbo Granny power that terrorized their genitals last time. Aira awakens Acro Silky abilities and assists Momo and Okarun in the taking down of the minimum wage worker. Unfortunately, the Serpos know that the mantis shrimp is the single most overpowered biological life form ever to exist and use their shaft powers to transform the crab alien into a mantis shrimp. Though the children manage to get away and defeat the shrimp initially, the Serpos merge. Serpodover Demon Nessie is created as an amalgam of all the aliens, and they hope to defeat the children once and for all, but they lose because they're not the main characters. After defeating the aliens, Unspoken Riz, Plot Armor, and Narcissist are all found naked in the hallways of their school, which sounds bad, but remember, in this school, they do literally nothing. Then Aira grows out of her flawless persona, Momo and Okarun's dynamic is being further established, but most importantly, the minimum wage worker is alive, yes! I liked him so much. And like many Americans, we learned that he's just a single dad trying to get money for a blood transfusion for his son. So he's a mercenary, odd jobs doer. Thankfully for him, turns out his alien race bleeds cow milk, so the next step is fairly obvious. Feed him his blood to make sure. And so the kids force him to do so, and he kills that shit, to be honest. He likes it. Let's go. Anyway, he gets a cow to send back to his kid. Hip hip hooray! Thank God they kept it alive. I mean, have you ever seen a cattle mutilation? As the squad winds down, they get a knock on their door from a way over the top, not as good looking as everyone says, very cringe dude. Turns out this guy's Gigi, Momo's first love, which we don't get a lot of information about, so just take it at face value. She loved them at some point. Whatever. Turns out Gigi's parents got murked by the supernatural and that Gigi can also see spirits. I sure hope this cringelord doesn't join the squad. At school the next day, Okarun, Momo, and her first love are all together when an anatomical model runs past them and grabs Momo and Gigi. Turns out this bro might have one of Okarun's nuts. Best follow him. So they do, for the entire rest of the episode, to a junkyard, where they realize that the only nut he had was for his anatomical model wife. Anyway, let's go to the cursed house, say the three kids, as Seiko hopes that Momo and Okarun will be able to deal with the curses found there. The three embark on their quest. Okarun learns what a male friendship looks and smells like. Gigi gets a little bit better, but he's still a little too over the top, and Momo remains being a goat. They arrive to where Gigi's family moved to and see that it's a hot springs town, and also evil. Well, they don't actually see that, but that's on them. Momo incredibly intelligently suggests they split up and goes by herself to a hot spring to unwind. Gigi and Okarun play soccer together while fighting for Momo's loves without thinking for a single moment that it may have been a bad idea to let her go off by herself. Well, it was. Okarun and Gigi realize there's a mysterious structure attached to the house, feel compelled to investigate it, and they find 600 billion paper bombs. Worse yet, Momo was confronted by a group of men who hop in the hot spring with her, dragging her underwater. This is really bad, guys. This is where the season ends. Momo has to hold her breath for like a year. I don't have a lot of faith. Although people have survived worse. Isn't that right, Nobara? And there you have it. That's DANDADAN Season 1, basically. So let's move on and talk about the characters and the implications. Of course, we start with Momo. She is a super breath of fresh air, shonen female main character. She is kind, smart, vulnerable at times, strong-willed. Everything you want in a main character, she has. And not just this, but the writing supports her. For instance, against Nobara and JJK, who had the makings of a good shonen female character, Momo's writing, as being the main character, supports her in all her facets. Now, please, don't fail me and let her fall into a traditional shonen role, because I have so much faith for Momo. Next up, she also changes clothes, which I think is so based in any anime or any show, really ever. I love when people do this, and her chemistry with Okarun is stellar. You can actually see and feel it from episode 1. They have an electric chemistry that you can sometimes even see in real life. And the way that the manga, that the anime now, made this come to life is incredible. But I must say, her interactions are good with everyone. She feels like a real teenage girl. Yes, of course, you can see her struggles physically in a battle shonen, but you can also see her mental struggles. You can see why she acts the way she does, why she doesn't want to do certain things, and how she feels about characters. It all comes to life so beautifully. Next, she also has crazy busto powers. I've always said telekinesis is OP, and I know that Okarun and Momo are supposed to be kind of two sides of the same coin. One is not necessarily stronger than the others, but goddamn, this scene, holy shit, she murked the fuck out of the Serpos, dude. And I liked her at the start, but she grew on me even more. That is good writing, that is good character building. She's definitely my favorite character so far, but I gotta say, she has 1 billion, if not much more, HP. The kids in this show get bruised, battered, thrown through walls, have metal pipes falling on them, and go, alright, back at it. And then the next scene, they lose to like some random fucking jock from PE class. All in all, Season 1 of DANDADAN was great, but it was very short, but Momo was the North Star of the anime. Next up, we've got Okarun, who is an awkward fellow. It's good to have a shonen main character that's awkward so that he can relate to the people watching. But not just that, he's written as an awkward fellow would be. We'll get to that in just a sec. He does not change clothes, which is a little bit of an L for me, but at least he changes his hair. And in terms of the awkward fellow, his chemistry with others is kind of lacking in comparison with Momo, but that makes sense. Look at how he starts out. You cannot expect someone who has literally never had a single friend, I'm sorry to bring it up in this video, to have great interactions like Momo, who is a very socially capable girl who's in fact quite popular. But what makes Okarun compelling is that he starts growing, not just socially through Momo, but also physically. You can see him start working out. Now his power is kind of reflective of himself, which is kind of cool. He goes to presso mode, and that kind of leads into the awkward, I don't believe too much in myself. I like when characters do this. But I gotta say, this is very important. With Momo, he is one of the best multi-main character duos I have ever seen. Neither of them take anything away from the other, and like I said on the Momo slide, they feel like two sides of the same coin. The main two things that I've kind of just alluded to are that the power seems relatively equal between them. I know that Momo's maybe seems more OP, but Okarun manages to do just as much, and neither takes the spotlight over the other, both in their social settings and in their battle shonen settings. Now he's kind of like Momo, he's also a tank. He doesn't have quite as much HP, but he does get plus 5,000 armor if he uses his head. Shout out Malphite. Overall, these two characters working in tandem, stellar job. They make DANDADAN what is DANDADAN. Now let's move on to Okarun's parents. Now let's move on to Seiko. It's awesome to have a strong character who can't actually do that much. She's obviously bound to her location, but we can see how much experience and strength she has, that she can help the kids, not by way of solving their problems for them, but teaching them how to do it. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, how old is she? It doesn't matter. Shut up. Wood, dude. shut up. On God though, why did they make her so hot? Like, I mean, look at, what is she wearing? Why is she wearing this around Momo? And yes, she's a sucker for praise. Based, so many narcissists in this show, it's like it was made for me. Just kidding, I'm not a narcissist. Then we've got Aira. She's just like me for real. Cute, beautiful, the chosen one. Acrobatic. Now, she touched the nut. She likes Okarun. She managed to do this in like 2 seconds before she even liked him. Holy brutal episode. I cannot get this point across. This shit broke me. I gotta say, this episode made me like her a lot more, and she was designed to be hated at the start. She will certainly grow. Unfortunately, we don't see too much of her in Season 1 because we have to build the Okarun-Momo dynamic, but man, her power will lend itself to such cool fights. Then we've got Gigi, who was shafted by being introduced at the end. Now, I'm not a huge fan of him, but I can recognize the shaft. Pause. I don't mind stupid characters too much. He just does seem way too over the top for me, and I don't understand why characters in-universe think of him the way that they do. I like when the writing reflects how people in-universe would see him. So really all I can say is Patrick spilled milk brain. Roll the clip.
The inner machinations of my mind are an enigma.
Yeah, that's literally Gigi. Then we've got Turbo Gilf, who is a certified freak. And also DANDADAN's token tsundere. Now I will say, her personality changed super fast, which can make sense, I guess, because she was the spirit that was actually for a good reason. But man, I'm telling you, the pace, like she makes the pacing in this story. Then we've got Miko and Muko, who are Momo's friends. They are based Momo x Okarun supporters. They will actually fight for their friend's relationship. It's so cool to see. And every time I do see them, I say, damn, they're goats. They're just good, supportive friends who believe they're living in a rom-com. So, in conclusion, what can we say about DANDADAN Season 1? I think that the anime is a breath of fresh air in many ways. In particular, the writing of Momo. I think that the visuals are really interesting, and that the gimmick itself, which we'll get to in a sec, the whole genital stealing thing, is okay too. What I will say, though, is that the pacing is nutty fast. That's a double entendre. A little bit too fast at some points, but it's okay. It's the character dynamics that are the main pull. The power system, the fights as a battle shonen, I think, honestly, it's pretty mid, but the character interactions is what DANDADAN lives for. Also, weiners. Yeah, some people think that it's childish. They're like, no, I can't watch DANDADAN, dude. That is third grade humor. You don't have to think of it as humor. Think of it as a gimmick to get the point across. Like, if you're trying to establish yourself as a manga writer and the only thing you can do to make your manga popular is talk about genitals, and you have a really good story to tell, fine, do it, by all means. If this is what it takes, let me see DANDADAN's story. Like I've said before, they have a goated main character duo. Two sides of the same coin. They don't steal the spotlight from one another. But most importantly, we want to see their dynamic grow together. Now, I will say also, the story is just okay at the moment. I do have faith because it is the start, it is the pilot season, but there was nothing that made me say wow in terms of the narrative itself. A lot of jokes to be made though, so I guess that's pretty cool. It has a fire opening. I wasn't actually sold at the start because I was like, why did they do rap for an anime opening? But no, this is not rap. This is transcendental medicine, one might say. And last but not least, I cannot wait to see where DANDADAN goes. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. DANDADAN PR team, anti-DANDADAN PR team, let me know in the comments down below what you thought about Season 1 of the anime. If you read the manga, is it a faithful adaptation? Were my takes good or bad? I think it's a super fun, fresh, light, interesting show. One of the best anime I've seen that has come out in 2024, and I hope you feel the same. If you have any suggestions for future videos, any games to play, series to cover, real-world things to do, please let me know in the comments down below as well. I have a whole variety of videos on the channel. We do a whole lot together. We're just trying to laugh and entertain. I'm selling myself right now. Go check out the links in the description. Go check out other videos on the channel. And until next time, you're looking stellar. I love you. And beware of genital thieves. Goodbye.